Welcome to From the Shed End podcast with myself, TDOT. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Before we get into the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. We did it at last. We are champions of the world. It still seems mad saying that, but we're champions of the world. We beat Palmeiras, albeit on a sort of deflated performance again after Al Hilal, but we did it. Kai Havertz, Lukaku, Callum Hudson-Odoi, all of them turned up. All of them turned up when it mattered. And yeah, let's start with the performance actually, because we got to credit Palmeiras, who, in my opinion, started the game really well. You can tell that they wanted to win this tournament from the start. If you know anything about South American football, you know that it's heavily. The importance is magnified over there in terms of the Club World Cup and what it means to them as well. So it was always going to be a difficult performance, I think, for both teams. I did feel like we started almost sluggish, almost like a pre-season game. It didn't feel like we were... not that we weren't taking it serious, but I think it definitely felt like there was a bit of fatigue potentially in there, or the nervousness probably on the occasion. You talk about some of the players like N'Golo Kante, who has literally won as much as he can now in terms of world and club football, and especially Cesar Azpilicueta, who we're going to talk about shortly as well. But just in terms of the performance, it wasn't something that was overwhelming. We never played really well. The fact that we had to take it into extra time to win, for me, was you never really felt watching that game. We didn't look comfortable. We didn't look like we were going to beat Palmeiras. So I'm not going to sit here and say that we played really well. I don't think we did, but at the end of the day, no one's going to matter. That doesn't matter. No one's going to think about that in 10 years when we're talking about these victories that we've got. So I wanted to talk about, obviously, some of the standout players for me. I felt the game slightly changed when Mason Mount went off injured. Still not really sure if that injury's going to impact the Palace game, which we'll cover later on in the week. But just in terms of, what he, like I said in the preview of the game, the things that Mason Mount brings to this team: creativity, energy, pace, full commitment from Mason Mount for however long he's on the pitch for. And up until he came off injured, I felt like he was definitely one of the outstanding players in the team. The same with Callum Hudson-Odoi. I said before the game, I was on a Twitter space online just before the game, and I said Callum Hudson-Odoi's got to have one of the best games of his life, not just of the season, but of his life, because we're looking at a player who, some people are saying that he's mediocre. Some people are saying that he should have he shouldn't be at the club. He was almost playing out of position, I think, as well. To start off with the game, so he had to have the best performance for me in his life. Left wing back obviously isn't his natural position, but he played really well. The assist for the Lukaku goal. We got to talk about Lukaku as well. We criticise him when he doesn't play to the standards that we expect him to. He played relatively okay against Al Hilal, and I was impressed with the way that he played against Palmeiras as well. For he made himself useful. He made it difficult for the defenders, and that's what we want to see as well. Like, it was nice to see Lukaku in the box, waiting for the ball and doing something with the ball as well, not just almost usual thumbs up or pointing at the feet that he likes to do a lot. This was the Lukaku that I think we're hoping to see a lot more of for the rest of this season, if he stays till next season. But I feel like scoring that goal has potentially started the road of mending the relationship with the Chelsea fans as well. It's two important goals that he scored in the space of 2 weeks. So it's not... he's not over the hill yet, but he's definitely making good strides up it at the moment for me. And if we can see Lukaku doing what he done in the final, when it matters as well, I think, not just players will appreciate it, the team, but the fans will, the coach will. He can make it difficult for defenders, and we got to see that on Saturday as well. But yeah, for me, Rudiger as well. Another outstanding performance from Rudiger. This is a player, for me, in my opinion, that we have to keep at the club, or at all costs. It doesn't matter to me whether he wants 250 grand or 300 grand now. I think in my opinion, if it is a case that he wants 225 and we're offering 200,000 a week, then we've got to get him signed up, because he's someone that will, he just gets stuck in. He's a Diego Costa of the defense for me. He's someone that gets stuck in, he gets his job done, but he's, you can tell that he's got leadership qualities about him, and they're hard to come by at centre backs. They're hard to come by. Quality centre backs are very hard to come by. We're looking at Maguire at Man United. You look at maybe a John Stones at Man City. They're not quality centre backs. It's so for me. Rudiger has to stay. He's proven as well that he wants to stay. The recent comments that he's made to the press, to the Athletic, he wants to stay. He said that the ball's in the club's half. They will decide his future. So we have to see around Rudiger, but we do have to talk about Cesar. We have to talk about Cesar Azpilicueta, because this guy, for me, is the biggest Chelsea legend. He's the biggest Chelsea legend in my opinion. He's the biggest Chelsea legend. He has to be now. He's the only player to have won every single available competition trophy as a Chelsea player, and he cost 7 million. Like it's a bargain. There's Championship players that are going for a lot more than that now, and for the commitment and the years that we've got out of him. You look at Paulo Ferreira, you look at Branislav Ivanovic before him as well, Dan Petrescu as well. These are players that have played in some really good squads, and deservingly, they've won their own things in their own right as well. But to be able to say that you've won every single trophy as the captain as well, he's won some of these not being a captain, but he's still playing at a level that I think if we let him go, there's been talk about whether Cesar should move, or he's won everything now, so we can kind of let him go on a high and let him go to Spain or wherever he wants to go to. But I think the extension, if the rumours of what I read over the weekend, that he's got a clause that we can extend his contract for another year, without any discussions needed, it's a no-brainer to me. He's got the experience. We need to keep him there. We've done it with Thiago Silva, and I feel like if we let Cesar Azpilicueta go, it will come back to haunt us. For me, there's a lot of talk about Jorginho and Kante. Their deals run out in 2023. Should we renew them? For me, again, I look at Kante. Who can you replace Kante with? There's a couple of names being batted around, but Kante is in his own lane, and I think a lot of the time, we talk about Marcos Alonso and Cesar Azpilicueta. For me, are both good servants to the club. They get overlooked a lot sometimes. You look at some of the people that get mentioned as one of the best defenders, but Cesar's got to be up there now. He has to be. He's won everything. He's won it all. For me personally, we've got to keep Cesar. We've got to keep him here at the club, and even for another year, just to allow us to get some integration in for the other players to take over that role. Obviously, we've got Reece James, but we still need other cover for Reece as well. So keep Cesar. He's won it all. For me, arguably one of the best Chelsea players, if not the best Chelsea player now. I think he's the true definition of captain, leader, and a legend. But let's talk about the penalties really quickly, because I felt like Saturday, when you're watching the game, it is high emotions. Everyone's rooting for their team, but I did feel like Thiago Silva handballed it. I felt like it was a handball. It was right. It was a right call. I felt that the referee, the VAR, as much as the referee was pissing me off during the game, but he got that right. That was a handball. I felt our penalty, the handball was soft in my opinion, but it's still handball. So you can see why both penalties were given. And let's talk about, again, Cesar Azpilicueta with the tactical awareness and almost genius-like to take the ball, to make it look like he was going to take the penalty. Took all the pressure off Kai Havertz. You could see the Palmeiras players getting in Azpilicueta's face, trying to distract him, trying to disrupt his what they thought was going to be, the deciding penalty late into extra time. And Kai Havertz is just sat there composed. He's stood there. He's waiting for the ball. He's waiting for his moment. And to me, that just shows the quality of leadership that we've got in Azpi as well. But for Kai Havertz, it was almost again someone who steps up at the most important moments in the Chelsea shirt. We've seen it when it was the Champions League final, and then we also see it now in the Club World Cup final, which is the two key trophies that I'm sure Roman Abramovich would have said, objective wise, this season, last season, they're the two key ones to get. So brilliant penalty. Of course, there's people online that I'm seeing that they're trying to play down the Club World Cup now because we've won it. But, it's a trophy that I'm sure Arsenal, Spurs, Manchester United would love to be right now. Man City as well would love to be in our position and win this trophy. Even Liverpool, yes, some of those teams I've mentioned have won it before. But in terms of being in it, you've got to beat the best in South America. You've got to beat the best in Asia to get there. You've got to play a full season plus the Champions League to even and win the Champions League to actually be in that tournament. So I see a lot of people playing it down. In my opinion, it's a massive achievement. It's something that I can say that I've watched and lived to see my club lift every trophy possible, and not many fans can do that. So I think it's one of those trophies that people take for granted unless you're in there, you're in that situation, you've got the opportunity to win it. And that's what we did. We took it by the scruff of its neck. It wasn't pretty. It was two ugly performances against Al Hilal and Palmeiras. But like I said earlier, no one's going to remember that at the end of the season, or 10 years from now. They'll just remember that we were unlucky 2012 against Corinthians in Japan. We came back 10 years later and we was able to win it. So got to take my hats off to Roman, who Roman's backed every single manager that we've had at the club. Without Roman Abramovich at the club, there would be no success. We've got to look at the way Thomas Tuchel came in after a very sort of stop-start season with Frank Lampard and took over and guided us to the Champions League as well. So there's a lot to be grateful for as Chelsea fans. And we've got a lot still to play for this season. We're still looking at another trophy in the Carabao Cup. We've still got the FA Cup. We've still got Lille in the Champions League. Obviously top four's looking a bit more comfortable now that Spurs are dropping points left, right, centre. So there's a lot still to play for and a lot still to be ambitious about as a Chelsea fan. Yes, the Premier League is probably what we wanted, but we've got to do some wholesale changes in the summer. We need to get quality and depth and quality, and we need to make sure that we're able to compete with Liverpool, compete with Manchester City, and push on next season. But for this season, if we can get the Club World Cup, which we've done, green tick. If we can get another trophy, FA Cup, League Cup, another green tick, top four. Look, it's not been that bad of a season compared to what our expectations were. It's not been a bad 18, 24 months as a Chelsea fan. So a lot still to play for. There's going to be another episode this week later with myself and Theo. We'll get that out. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you get yourself down to the mega store to get your gold badge. I think they're doing it for a couple of quid, man. So make sure you get down there. You don't need to buy a new shirt. You can take your previous your shirt that you've got for this season, take it down to the mega store. They'll add the gold badge on because it's one of those things that you'll look back on. You're probably going to want it on there. So make sure you get that done. Make sure you leave some comments in the section for me down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. So this has been TDOT. Until next time, we'll be back. Thank you very much for watching.